Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina, I want to say that we are excited to once again be a sponsor of the North Carolina Child Hunger Leaders Conference. On behalf of the Food Bank of CENC, the Food Bank fights hunger in 34 counties through 6 branches: Durham, Greenville, New Bern, Raleigh, Sandhills, and Wilmington. When it comes to children, our work in those counties include being a sponsor for the Summer Meals Program and at-risk after-school meals program, as well as School Pantry, Weekend Power Pack, which is our backpack program, and Kids Cafe. Our work is represented here today at the conference by partners throughout the sessions and Hero Awards. For this session, we want to focus on how community organizations are helping to feed children in partnership with schools and beyond. Our first presenter is my colleague at the Food Bank, Michael McKay, Operations Supervisor for the Sandhills branch of the Food Bank of CENC. Welcome, Michael.
Good morning, good morning. Well, I am Michael McKay, and I'm the Operations Supervisor at the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina at Sandhills. So we are located in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Thank you for that. Before I start, I want to tell you how I got the invitation. So we are the most southern branch of the Food Bank Central and Eastern North Carolina. So we are always in tune with we're not as edgy as Raleigh. We're not as progressive as Raleigh. We're not, possibly as smart as Raleigh, which we okay with that. So the Vice President of Community Health and Engagement calls me and he says, Michael, would you be willing to speak at on Wednesday at the Friday Center? And I'm thinking, is that loaded? So I'm very surprised that people came here today. So I thank you for coming today because it would be very awkward for me to stand up here and talk if you weren't here. So thank you very much for that. As we talked about we serve actually Lee, Moore, Richmond, Scotland counties for the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina. We distribute food to nonprofits. We partner with about 120 in our service area. And a partner agency for us is a church pantry, soup kitchens, Boys and Girls Club, those kind of things. During disaster relief, we also partner with organizations like Cajun Navy, Red Cross, and things like that. But we are the proud home of Backpack Pals program of Moore County. And thank you. And a little bit of history about Backpack Pals of Moore County. It started in 2005 when a volunteer coordinator who worked for Moore County Schools actually started it in one school with 25 students and 7 volunteers. And it's hard to believe back then that they actually employed volunteer coordinators, and now we have shortages of teachers. So that's an insight in itself. But every week during the school year, we provide 1,100 meals in 28 Moore County schools, and we do that with 14,976 volunteer hours. We have a contact list of 468 individuals. Collectively, as a food bank, we have 41,280 volunteers enrolled in our volunteer system. So, thank you. And as there's a picture here, I think, on the next slide. What that is. This is one of our packing days, and believe it or not, you're only seeing half of it. There is another table to our right to where volunteers actually pack the food for us. Next slide. Businesses volunteer with us. Next slide, please. We have families that volunteer with us. Next slide, please. And also friends. And when I got the call from the vice president, and I said, you know what? I know there's a lot of Backpack Pals programs that do a lot more schools, a lot more students. They help a lot more students than we do. Why are you asking us to do this? And what it came down to was he was impressed with our community involvement. So that's what I want to share with you today. The next slide is we did a disaster relief day, and a lot of our volunteers who help us every week with Backpack Pals, also on a daily basis with just general projects, we rely on them heavily to actually go out and promote into the communities. So a lot of our branches do on-site projects. We have introduced off-site projects. And that has been tremendous for us. So that previous slide was, we had 48 volunteers that met us in Pembroke, North Carolina. They traveled up to 2 hours and worked a 7-hour shift to help 2,000 people that day during Hurricane Florence. So that is what he wanted me to bring to you today, is to kind of encourage you about community involvement, how to build a community. A lot of people say it takes a lot of work. And next slide, I think 2 more. It actually only takes one thing. Next slide, please. It all results around a positive relationship. And thank you. And what we've adopted at our specific branch is, how do we engage the community to be a part of our mission that we're actually serving in our service area. And the first tip I will give you today is positive energy. Now, I had an illustration for you today, but there's no greater one than when Luann brought out the clickers today. Everyone grabbed the clicker and everybody chimed in. It's like a rock concert, okay? So that's creating energy, and everyone was brought to light. So anytime you create joy or you create laughter, it actually entices people to join in, okay? Positive energy. A good indication is, I was driving home the other day, 2-lane road, and I'm driving there and I'm thinking about all the issues that I have, you know, work, home life, got to get to the grocery store, can't wait till the weekend comes. And as I'm driving down the road, this Honda Accord pulls up beside me, and there's a mother and father in the front seat, and in the back seat, there's a young little girl missing one tooth in her front. And as she's passing by me, she gives me that short little wave and a smile. Totally changed my day, okay? So that's the power of positive energy. Interaction. There's nothing that can beat one-on-one personal interaction with somebody. Social media has come a long way. It's a great tool. One thing I can illustrate to you real quick is just an illustration with a letter, a phone call, or a visit to your mama, okay? When you go down to, you write her a letter, you tell her all about the things you're appreciative for, and you do those things, and at the end of the letter you say, Mama, I'm sorry for all the things I did, but if it's any consolation, you only know about half of it, okay? It's great. Everybody loves writing letters, but it's still one-sided, okay? You write the letter, you never see the reaction. Maybe she cried, maybe she laughed, okay? You miss that other side of that interaction. Phone call, Thursday, call her up. Mama, how you doing? Great, baby, how you doing? How's the kids? Everything's going. Better interaction, correct? She invites you over. You know, I need to go see Mama. So imagine this, you're picturing in, and you're going into the case of, you show up at a doorstep and how she's elated to grab you, and that interaction there. Being present. I have, how many people in here have more than one child? Okay, great. You have 7,000 photos of your first child, right? You have 4, right, of the other 2 combined, right? So you have to be present. And my wife asked me, looking through those things, you know, what are you doing with all these photos? You're so happy and enjoying it. And my wife realized that she's the one taking the picture. So are you capturing life, or are you participating in it? Okay? And showing gratitude. Gratitude is the most important thing. You cannot miss an opportunity to thank somebody. And my wife has already told me that. Thank you. My wife has shared that with me. My wife, anybody know in here knows a great hugger. Anybody know a great hugger in your family? My wife is that person, you know. And my wife never misses an opportunity to say thank you, and I'm always impressed how she does that. And here's the key for you. If I walk up to you and I say thank you, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? For what, right? So they're asking for it. They want it. Give it to them, okay? So when you say thank you, tell them what you're thankful for. Also go into further detail about why you're impressed with that thank you and why they attended today. So the last thing I have for you is I challenge you to be what the world needs you to be. And I was actually in a seminar one time, and this came up, and it changed my life entirely. And the comment was, what would this world be if everyone in it was just like me? And the thing is I reflected back, I don't donate my time enough. I don't donate to charity enough. I don't speak encouraging words to people like I should. So if you just think about and put yourself in their shoes about where would this world be if they were just like me? And it encouraged me to do more for this world, for me, and I hope it does the same for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now we will have Robiane Morgan. She is currently school counselor at Yates Mill Elementary School in Raleigh. Robiane is here today to share about her previous work at Walnut Creek Elementary, also in Wake County, and the community partnerships that school forms to operate its food pantry for students. Welcome, Robiane, please.
So, good morning, and yes, I am Robiane Morgan, and I am currently at Yates Mill Elementary School. However, when I received the invite from Dana, and she said, would you like to speak about the food pantry at Walnut Creek? And I said, well, I'm not going to be there anymore, but anytime that I can talk about the food pantry, I will. And so just because I love what I do. And so this vision actually started in 2017. And so the principal at the time, Vonda Martin Jenkins, and the school social worker, Janice Young, we began to sit and kind of plan about what we wanted to do to help support the students and the families at Walnut Creek. And so what you see here is actually Wildcat Station. And when I say it took a lot of work to get this to where it is today, definitely the pictures don't show it justice. And so it is a one-stop shop where families can come, they can get non-perishable items, they can get fresh fruits and vegetables, they can get clothing, because again, a lot of our population of students and families that come are in transition. And so they are able to come and get whatever they may need. And so one of the other visions of that was to actually have a parent resource center. So if I am between jobs, or if I am between trying to figure out what I need to do, we can actually do that at Wildcat Station. And so how did all this become a part is with our community partners. And so one of the partners that we paired up with was the YMCA of the Triangle, as well as our Bank of America Student Leaders Program. And if you're not familiar with the Bank of America Student Leaders Program, it is a phenomenal group of young people that are selected, I don't know, out of 100 or so students each year, and only 4 get selected to participate in this program. And so each year they take on a project. And so Walnut Creek was actually in 2018 was the project, the Wildcat Station. And so we sat with a group of young individuals and kind of expressed all the desires and things that we wanted this station to look like. And they took it and ran with it. And I'm talking about high school seniors and college freshmen that wanted really to, actually they just kind of owned it. And so with that program, we were able to connect with so many community stakeholders, such as churches, businesses, and other organizations. And so I just kind of listed some of the things that these students actually put a whole portfolio together for us. And so community partners, our volunteers, fresh fruits and vegetables, they wanted to make sure that, guess what, we didn't have to think about a thing. And when I say they did a phenomenal job putting together a portfolio for us, they did. And so we've shared that with the food bank with Dana, and she said, you all need to share this information. I mean, they had letters even as far as a script. If you weren't even sure of what to say, they had it laid out for everyone. And so on the next slide, we kind of listed some of the partners. And so some of the churches in Southeast Raleigh area, Redeeming Love Missionary Baptist Church, Lincolnville, these churches actually came in and said, what else can we do to help support the students here at Walnut Creek? And we said, hey, we need healthy snack, because not everybody comes to school with a healthy snack. And those churches have committed monthly to be able to provide healthy snack for our students. And so we're always very grateful for that. And then, of course, our local branch of North Carolina State Employees Credit Union did a drive for us of non-perishable items, but not just that, but also school supplies. And so they're always eager and saying, hey, what else can we do to help support the students here at Walnut Creek? On the next slide, again, I just listed a couple more. In 2018, we had, again, a group of students that came and helped support us. In 2019, we were also very fortunate to get another group of student leaders to come out and support the school pantry. So they kind of like bumped it up a notch for us. And so where we said we needed computers, they got us computers. We needed another deep freezer, they got us another deep freezer. And so they were able to connect with so many other different organizations or businesses such as Lowe's, Home Depot, were able to come in and provide those things for us. Even some of the high schools had volunteers, that students that needed volunteer hours wanted to come in and help support us. And so really, in order for a family to be able to benefit from the food pantry, we decided we were going to have like hours of operation. And so that kind of fell through. So we said, we'll go through just a referral system, which actually works best. And so when we know that families come in, and they say, hey, well, we're a little low on food, and we can say, hey, we got you. And at that moment, we can walk families down to the pantry. And when they realize all the things that they can benefit from, they are so elated and so grateful for that. And so these are our community partners that have continued: Interfaith Food Shuttle, the Food Bank, of course, Volmer Farms, and of course our Southgate Food Line has also been a participant and helped us as well. And so we're always very grateful for their support. And so again, I am thankful for the opportunity, for Dana reaching out to me. And like I said, any questions that you all may have afterwards, I'm here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Robiane. And finally, I will turn the stage over to Gabe Cumming, Associate Director and co-founder with his wife, Carla Norwood, of Working Landscapes in Warren County. Since its inception in 2010, Working Landscapes has focused primarily on helping to connect farmers to consumers in innovative ways to promote healthy citizens and a healthy economy. Gabe is here to discuss how that work involves children, including providing locally grown, fresh-cut produce and prepared foods for schools with the Byway Foods venture. Please welcome Gabe.
Good morning, everybody. Still morning. So pleased to be here. Thank you very much for having me and Working Landscapes. I'm glad that you explained what I was going to talk about, because I wasn't sure, but now I know. Because I come, at this work perhaps from a slightly different starting point than most of y'all. Just a little bit about Working Landscapes. We are a nonprofit rural development organization, so we're a small nonprofit organization. There we go. As noted, we are based in Warren County, North Carolina. Yes, Warren County. Founded by a Warren County native. That would not be me. That would be my wife, Carla. We are a mom and pop operation. I'm the pop in that equation. So we are led by a visionary Native American leader from rural North Carolina. That would be my wife. I'm the guy who hangs out with her, which we'll have to do for today. And we are also parents of 3 Warren County School students. So I'm also speaking today as a parent of 3 very hungry children. I turned the tables on my eldest and only put the 2 youngest on the screen, so there. And our work with food is based on, generally speaking, connecting people and building a resilient economy through healthy local food. So that's kind of where we're coming at this. Food is an unbelievable connector, am I right? It brings people together. Let's use it that way. So we have a venture, as mentioned, called Byway Foods, which is a fresh-cut vegetable processing hub in Warrenton. We have achieved USDA GAP and Primus HACCP certification for this facility, enabling us to serve school districts and many other customers. And we have, in fact, served 20 school districts over the lifetime of this venture representing 90,000 predominantly low-income children. At the moment, sorry to say, it's closed but for a good reason, because we were working on expanding it so that we can have even a broader array of fresh-cut, convenient products for your cafeterias and your kids, adding ready-to-eat products, pre-washed products, etc. So the other work that we do besides the food hub operations is building regional value chains. Do you understand the concept of a value chain? Basically, it's the idea that everyone from farm to fork is involved in adding value to that product until it reaches children's plates, right? So and we work all the way up and down that chain with partners to make those connections. It doesn't just happen one way. You can see that the chain doesn't just have one path. There are multiple paths, and I want to spotlight, I didn't just at random choose the picture of the farmers on the side. In some cases, the farmers we work with are actually students themselves. These are high school students from Halifax County Schools. Joe Otranto's in the house, so recognize him for the fantastic work in having a GAP-certified school farm, which actually engages kids in producing the food that's also consumed in the cafeterias. That's bringing it full circle, folks. We also do educational programming. We've reached 12,000 kids with our What's Growing On program, which is so it's a year-round curriculum based on seasonal local harvest with core curriculum-aligned lesson plans to go with it, and a harvest box program through which that produce is actually delivered to participating classrooms for teachers to teach and use and prepare those foods in their classrooms. Because child nutrition folks, we want teachers on side with us, right? We want the educational staff engaged and working with the child nutrition staff. And we participate in regional food system planning, trying to get everyone who's involved in bringing healthy local food in our region to the table working together. And so the question that we ask, and the question that I want to pose, is when we feed kids in North Carolina, who benefits from that on the supply side? Obviously, we are all here to benefit children on the receiving end, right? But we also need to think about how those systems of supply benefit folks in our state and how we can maximize that. First of all, do they even benefit folks in our state, right? We might be getting the food from somewhere completely different that's not North Carolina. There's lots of folks doing great work to make sure it's coming from North Carolina suppliers, but also even in North Carolina, which farms, which workers, which businesses, which communities are we extending the benefits of child nutrition procurement and other means of feeding our state's children to communities and workers that most need it? In short, does feeding our state's children address, ignore, or even reinforce inequities in the food system, right? So we want to make sure that the way we're getting food moved through this state helps to improve equality and create opportunity across our state, not just for the biggest agribusinesses who already have a lock on that, but for family farms and small businesses across our state. You say, why would I care if I care about feeding kids? Guess who has kids? Everyone who grows and prepares and processes and transports your food. They are people with families and children as well, and if those folks have the means to feed their children healthy food, we're winning, right? I mean, that's part of the equation. That's part of the whole picture. So what does this look like in the end? We envision city-region food systems. So what that means is you see here a picture of downtown Raleigh and Warren County. These are two sides of the same coin. We need our urban communities where we have many eaters, right? Many kids, many families. They have the power, you have the economic power to drive these systems. Rural communities have the land. We can supply you the food. Together we can work together to build systems that are resilient. Now, what do I mean by resilient? Resilient does not look like these pictures right here. Okay, so this is the grocery store after Hurricane Florence. Y'all saw grocery stores like this. That is the dairy section, the produce section, the meat section. And guess what? This store in our area wasn't even hit by the hurricane. But guess what? The supply chain was, right? And all of a sudden the food's not there. So I'm here to tell you, every single one of us in this room, not just those from low-income families and marginalized communities, is only 1 week away from being food insecure, right? Food insecurity insecurity is not a distant problem. It is a problem that is only as distant as our food system is vulnerable. That's why we need resilient regional food systems to avoid the risks like that. In short, the climate crisis is coming for your food. I'm sorry to say it, but it is. Look at the number of natural disasters. We've had 3 200-year floods in North Carolina's coastal plain in the past 20 years. That's not supposed to happen, folks, and that threatens our food supply. Anyone who works in food should be concerned. So how do we build a system that doesn't all come from one place, that doesn't break so easily, that's got different folks doing different things across our region? Well, the way to do it, we believe, is through regional coordination. So like I mentioned, let's see if this works. Yeah, we chop vegetables, right? So that's one thing that could be done to prepare food for. Somewhere else, someone might prepare purees. Somewhere else, they might be shelling peas. Somewhere else, they might be preparing frozen fruits, right? So we can do different things in different communities to supply the food that our region needs. When that starts to come together, you start to see a regional food system come together where food is transported from multiple suppliers across our region to kids and families all across our region, right? So it's not all coming from one place. It's many different small communities and small actors working together to feed kids and families. How do we do this? Greater collaboration, obviously. Transparency among suppliers, right? So we need everyone to put their cards on the table, say what they can and cannot do to feed kids, what role they can play, how they can work together. Let's not replicate some of the problems with how food gets moved and transacted today. Frankly, a lot of it's unjust and not very transparent. We need robust procurement commitments from public institutions, y'all, and the agencies that support y'all. We need supportive policy frameworks at the state level, local level, to support and extend a commitment to local healthy procurement. We need alignment of funders behind this work. We need, last but not least, consumer education. Remember what's going on and all of that stuff, all the stuff we do every day to get our kids and our families looking for, asking for healthy local food, because that's the pull factor in the system that makes our leaders pay attention and support this kind of work. Together, we can do this, and only together. Thank you.